Hi everybody, my name is Tina and this is my first video for a series I'd like to do on books that have really influenced me. I'm an avid reader. I've been an avid reader since as long as I can remember, and I've written 2 books myself so far with the goal of writing at least 2 more before my life is over. Funny story from my past. I was diagnosed with diabetes when I was 14, and they knew when I went to see the specialist that I was incredibly nervous because apparently I didn't read a single magazine in that waiting room. And everybody who knew me realized that was abnormal behavior for me. And so the first book I'd like to talk about is a book I actually first read when I was 25. I went on to vacation to Tahiti for my birthday, and I had previously purchased this book before. It was written in 1997, so it's 20 years old since this is 2017. But there are several amazing things he talks about in this book that I think are vital to us to understand in all aspects of our life, not just in financial planning. So this is the book. It's by Bob Proctor, who I believe he said in the book he is a public speaker. And there's a few things he talks about regarding money that I'd never heard of before. And one of the key concepts he talks about is the importance of money being in circulation. If money is not in circulation, it's pretty much useless because it's only flowing when there's a current. And that really struck out to me because we often think of saving as being important, and it is because you want to have money for a rainy day, etc. But we wouldn't have the economy that we do if it wasn't for the fact that money is in circulation, that money is being used, that purchases are going back and forth between people. That's how you can have multiple people having a job on the same dollar, essentially, because it passes from hand to hand to hand. The second thing he talked about that really hit me was he talked about nature abhorring a vacuum. And he was using this to talk about how a lot of people will put up with things they don't like because they don't have the money to overcome that challenge. And one of the things he talked about is he knew this lady who hated her curtains. They were apparently hideous, they were old, they were worn. She didn't like them, she didn't want them anymore in her life, but because she didn't have the money to replace them, she just put up with them. And he went over to her house and he said, "You need to get rid of your curtains." And she said, "Why? I can't afford to replace them." And he explained, if you look at the natural world, there's no vacuums. Holes will fill in, weeds will grow in barren fields, trees will sprout where another tree has fallen down or is burnt down. Nature abhors a vacuum. It never leaves a space unfilled for a significant amount of time. And his point was, if we want to apply that principle to our financial life, we need to use the same philosophy. So maybe not as extreme as he suggests to the lady where she does threw out her curtains and then the money would flow to her that she'd be able to replace them with ones she really liked. But don't hold on to something that you don't really like. There's a lot of talk in the world about voluntary simplicity, decluttering, things like that. Those are very important, are a very important topic. But what's, I think, the most important is to only have what you really like around you and use your money, because we all work hard to get it, to be able to accomplish that. And the last thing he talked about was the importance of taking risks, calculated risks, safe risks. But he used the analogy of, in World War II, it was the aces, not the guys who played cautiously, who actually had less accidents than would be expected. And you wouldn't think that. You'd think, well, if they're taking risks, then they're probably going to get shot down a lot more frequently, and that did happen to some of them. But when you look at it, they didn't hesitate. They didn't go forward and cautiously fly. You can't do that in flying because it will lead to possibly missing out on opportunities, and in war, unfortunately, the enemy's not going to give you a second chance. So those were 3 things that really stuck out to me when I first read this book. I have the desire to read it again now that I've talked about it because I did really enjoy it and it really impacted me. So if you can find it, I would highly recommend it, and I'll hopefully be able to share some of my other books that I really like with you at a later time. Have a great day. Bye.